Good afternoon, students. Uh, Today we are going to discuss about perimetry. Do you know what is perimetry? Perimetry, it is the mapping out of the visual field. Now, what is visual field? Visual field means when a subject fixes his gaze to an object. When a subject fixes his gaze to an object, the area surrounding which is visible to that eye, it is known as visual field for that eye. Okay. Now, what is perimetry? Perimetry, it is the method of accurate charting of peripheral field of vision by using a perimeter. It is the charting of peripheral field of vision. So there are two type of visual field. One is central visual field, another is peripheral visual field. Now, rough estimates of peripheral visual field is done by bedside confrontation test, which will be discussed in the subsequent class. And accurate estimation of peripheral field of vision or demarcation of peripheral field of vision is done by perimeter. So, perimetry is done to know the exact nature and extent of visual field. Is there any defect in the visual field? Is there any defect in the visual cortex? That is the visual area, area 17, area 18, area 19, frontal eye field area, etc. in the brain. Apparatus. Apparatus is the perimeter. Mainly, there are several types of perimeter. One is Lister perimeter, which is most commonly used. Lister perimeter. Next one, perimetric chart to record the peripheral visual field. List of object of different size and color. Pen and pencil. Okay. This picture is showing Lister perimeter to record the peripheral field of vision. Okay. This is metallic arc which can be rotated, and this is chin rest, adjustable chin rest. This one is perimetric chart holder, and this is chart marker or removable shield, and this is graduated scale, and this one is pinpoint marker. Okay, this is Lister perimeter. Now, there are another variety of perimeter. This one known as Priestley-Smith perimeter. Priestley-Smith perimeter. So, when a subject fixes his or her gaze, that means eye is looking steadily for some time to an object with one eye, the area surrounding which is also visible to that eye is the field of vision of that eye. Okay. What is nodal point? Nodal point, it is the center point of the lens. Center point of the eye lens is known as nodal point. Visual axis, it is the line joining the fixation point, nodal point and fovea centralis inside the macula lutea. It is known as visual axis, the line joining fixation point, nodal point and fovea, it is the visual axis. Now what is optical axis? Optical axis, it is the line joining nodal point inside the lens and posterior pole of the eye. It is known as optical axis. Scotoma. Scotoma means it is the area of blindness is known as scotoma. So area of visual field where no perception of light occur, area of visual field where no perception of light occur is known as scotoma, or you can say scotoma means the island of blindness within the sea of vision. Now normal field of vision. Normal field of vision in the nasal side it is about 60 degree. Nasal side it is about 60 degree as it is obstructed by nose. Now the nasal bone. Field of vision on temporal side. It is on temporal side. It is about 100 degree. Field of vision in the inferior side. In the inferior side it is about 75 degree. And field of vision on superior side is about 60 degree. So field of vision is on nasal side is 60 degree as it is obstructed by nose. Field of vision on temporal side 100 degree as there is no anatomical obstruction. Field of vision on inferior side 75 degree as it is obstructed by maxillary bone and cheek. And field of vision on superior side as it is obstructed by superior supraorbital ridge is about 60 degree. It is the normal field of vision. This is the picture of normal eye, and this one is cornea, and this one is anterior chamber, this one is lens, and this is choroid plexus, and this one is retina. In the posterior pole of eye there is yellowish area which is known as macula lutea. Inside the macula lutea there is central depressed area which is known as fovea centralis. The acuity of the vision is the highest in the fovea centralis. Now this is fovea centralis, and just 3 millimeter medial to fovea centralis and just above the fovea centralis, 3 millimeter medial and above the fovea centralis there is optic disc. Optic disc means where the optic nerve emerges or leave the orbital cavity, leave the retina. This one is optic disc, and in the optic disc there is no rod and cones photoreceptor, no photoreceptor present. So there is lack of visual field in this area, which is known as physiological blind spot. Now this portion is the peripheral retina. Peripheral retina is responsible for peripheral field of vision, mainly the movement and depth of the vision. And central retina, that means fovea, due to presence of high concentration of cones, mainly responsible for acuity of the vision, details of the vision, color vision. Okay. Now this one is visual axis and This one is optical axis. Visual axis means the center point of the lens and center point of the lens joining to the fovea and the object on which subject fixes his gaze. Okay, this one is the visual axis. Now this picture is showing that how the image is formed, Usually image is formed in the retina, that is inverted upside down and reverse from left to right. This one is the visual field for right eye and this one is the visual field for left eye. This one is common visual field, the circular area in between that, the common visual field for the binocular vision. Now, this temporal region responsible for nasal vision and nasal region responsible for temporal vision. This one is common binocular vision. Okay, common binocular vision. This one superior visual field, inferior visual field. This one left visual field and this one is right visual field. This is right eye and this is left eye. Okay, and these are the optic nerve and foveal region, the vision of responsible for the foveal region. Okay. Now the visual pathway. This is right eye and this is left eye. So this is right eye, this is left eye, this is right eye, this is left eye. I have told that the temporal part responsible for nasal side of the vision and nasal part responsible for temporal side of vision. Okay, and this is the retina. At the region of optic disc, optic nerve leave the orbital cavity. This one is the optic nerve and the fiber of the nasal half of the optic nerve decussate. Okay, fiber of the nasal half of the optic nerve decussate. That means optic nerve of fiber of the nasal half of the optic nerve crosses at optic chiasma, which is present on the body of the sphenoid bone, and fiber of the temporal side of the optic nerve does not crosses. So fiber of the nasal side of the optic nerve crosses at the decussate at optic chiasma, but fiber of the nasal side does not crosses. That means after optic chiasma, optic tract is formed, and one-sided optic tract consists of same-sided temporal fiber and opposite-sided nasal fiber. Okay. Then, so from retina, optic nerve, then there will be optic chiasma on sphenoid bone, optic chiasma. Then there will be optic tract. Optic tract ends in the lateral geniculate nucleus or the lateral geniculate body of the thalamus. From the lateral geniculate body of the thalamus, geniculocalcarine fiber goes to visual cortex. That is known as optic radiation. And near the visual cortex, it forms a loop. it forms a loop that is known as Mayer's loop. Mayer's loop. This portion is the visual cortex, area 17, and visual association area, area 18, and area 19. Area 19. Optic nerve, it is the continuation of action of ganglion cell. Now ganglion cell, synapse, infantile present bipolar cell synapse with photoreceptor, that is the rod and cones. Cone mainly present in the fovea centralis and rod mainly present in the peripheral retina. Peripheral part is responsible for movement and depth and peripheral field of vision, and fovea centralis are the cone mainly present, which is responsible for central vision and acuity of vision, color vision. Okay. Now the central portion, that means the macula, the representing area of the macula or the fovea centralis is very large. The representing area of macula or the fovea centralis is very large in the visual cortex. So small injury in the visual cortex does not hamper the macular vision or the fovea centralis vision. Small injury in the visual cortex does not hamper the macular vision, as the representing area of the macula or the fovea centralis is very large. Is it clear? Now, next one. Now, this is the Lister perimeter. Lister perimeter consists of a stand on which there is metallic arc. Metallic arc is about 330 millimeter long and curved anteriorly. Behind the metallic arc, there is removable silk, or it is also known as chart marker, and this is hand wheel, and this point, it is known as pin punch pointer, and this is chart plate to hold the perimetric chart. Now this is object box, which contain different size and color of object. We shall do the perimetric examination by 10 millimeter white object, 10 millimeter white test object. This is adjustable chin rest, which has 2 chin cup. Now right chin cup or right side of the chin rest is used to map the visual field for left eye, and left chin cup is used to map the visual field for the right eye. This is Lister perimeter. Now this is Lister perimeter. This is the front view. Subject should sit facing the concavity of the Lister perimeter. That means the concavity of the metallic arc should faces to the subject face. Okay, subject face. This is adjustable chin rest. And this is the central fixation point, and this one is the test object, white color 10 millimeter test object. There is a longitudinal groove along the axis of the perimeter metallic arc. In the longitudinal groove, the test object can be moved from outside to inward, and this is chart marker. This is frontal view of chart marker. Okay, chart marker, and this is the light source. Now this is the close view of that perimeter. This is the central fixation point along the same axis of the nodal point of the lens and the fovea centralis of the subject, and this is test object. Test object can be moved along this groove. Now this is the view from backside. This is the chart marker or the removable shield, and this one is the horizontal graduated scale. This one is horizontal graduated scale, and this is pin punch pointer, and this one is the perimetric chart holder. Okay, perimetric chart holder. Now in the previous slide, carefully see that the outside of that metallic arc is graduated from 0 to 90. 90 present at the outer end, and graduation is done. Say at the center it is 0, and gradually outside it is about 90 degree, as the maximum field of vision is about 90 degree for 10 millimeter white object in this perimeter. This is the 90 degree, and which is present at the outermost point, and at innermost point it is about 0 degree. This is the graduation, and same graduation present in the horizontal graduated scale, which is present behind the perimeter. Now this is the close view of that horizontal scale, where the test object is just visible. Suppose that test object is visible at 70 degree of that metallic arc. The corresponding point, you have to fix that corresponding point by moving this marker. You have to fix the corresponding point at 70 degree, and you have to give an impression at perimetric chart by moving the chart holder towards that pin punch pointer, that's corresponding point. This is perimetric chart. This is perimetric chart marker, and this was hand wheel. This is hand wheel. Okay, this is hand wheel. This can be rotated like this. Okay. Now this is the close view of chart marker, and total 360 degree, starting from 0, 13, 45. Total 360 degree view is there. Okay, 0 remain at the uppermost point, and 180 remain at the lowermost point. Temporal degree, this is 90 degree. right temporal, and this is left temporal for 90 degree. Total 360 degree chart marker. Now this is the pin punch pointer, and holding the perimetric chart, you have to push, you have to hit the perimetric chart holder to that pin pointer. You have to hit it so that an impression is given, and you have to mark that impression in the perimetric chart, and you have to take different reading at different meridian. Then you have to join that different reading to get the actual visual field. Now this is the object box containing the different color test object and different shape. This test object has different color and different shape and different size also. We shall use 10 millimeter white object, to test the peripheral field of vision in the Lister perimeter. This is the object box. Now perimetric chart is present. Inside perimetric chart is present inside the chart holder, and this is the Lister perimeter. Okay. Now subject should sit in front. Of the perimetric metallic arc. Metallic concavity of the metallic arc should faces towards the subject, and eye at the level. Eye should be at the level of the central fixation point, which is done by a leveling screw. And subject should close his other eye. By one finger or by the cup of his hand or her hand, so that it cannot obstruct the visual field. Test object is moved from periphery to center, towards center, and ask the subject to indicate when the test object is first visible. Ask the subject to indicate. Suppose the test object is visible here, it is about 65 degree, and you have to mark that 65 degree in the graduated horizontal scale, and you have to mark at the perimetric chart by hitting the perimetric chart towards the pin punch pointer. Now this test object is moved from periphery to the center. And subject is asked to indicate when the object is just visible. Then the metallic arc is rotated. In another direction. Usually at 15 degree interval, you have to take different reading at 15 degree interval, but we usually take 8 reading at 45 degree interval. By rotating this metallic arc. Okay. Metallic arc is rotated to take another reading, again rotated to take another reading. So metallic arc is rotated 45 degree each time to take about 8 readings. And now after taking reading in each meridian, the visual field is depicted here. Visual field is depicted for left eye of that of the subject. Again, visual field is depicted for right eye, and right chin rest is used to record the visual field for the left eye, and left chin rest is used to record the visual field for that eye. Now, this is perimetric chart. This is the central fixation point. This one is central fixation point. This one is central fixation point, and you have to take reading. Now, this one is Bajram skin, and this is the central fixation point. This is the central fixation point, and the circle at 10-degree interval, around the center is known as isopters. These are isopters, okay? These are isopters, and total 360-degree circle of that visual field is divided at 15-degree interval, by radial line, by longitudinal radial line. So, total radii is divided at 24 times, but by 15-degree interval, This is known as one meridian. This is known as another meridian at 15-degree interval. This is known as another meridian. 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 So, this one circular line is known as isopters, and isopters, each point of that isopter has the same visual acuity, and at 10-degree interval there is another isopter. So, total there is 9 isopter. This is 0 degree, again 10 degree, 10 degree, 10 degree, and last isopter present at 90 degree, at 90 degree. 90 degree is the maximum field of vision in Lister perimeter by using 10 mm white color object. And central field perimeter is to record the peripheral field, and central field is recorded, central visual field is recorded by Jairam skin, okay, Jairam skin. Now, test object is moved from here to here and ask the subject where the test object is just visible. Now, marked in the perimetric chart by hitting the chart holder towards the pin punch pointer. If the object is invisible in this area, that means visible here, first visible here, again become invisible, again become visible. Invisible for this area and different meridian, this one is the visual field defect. This area, if the object is not visible in that area, this one is the visual field defect. Okay. Now, this picture showing the perimetric chart. This is the central fixation point, and there are 9 circle around the central fixation point. These are known as isopter of equal visual point. Total 9 circle. Okay, 9 circle, and the radiating line, total 360 degree is divided at different radiating line at 15-degree interval. These are known as the meridian. So, there are 24 meridian and 9 isopters. Isopters means 24 meridians and 9 isopters. And this one is the visual field for right eye, and this one is the visual field for left eye, which is demarcated after by perimetric test, and this one is the binocular field of vision, that means the common visual field, the circular area central, this is the common visual field for the both eye. And this one is the blind spot which is the corresponding area. This one is the blind spot, that means the corresponding area of the optic disc where the no perception of visual field occur. This one is the blind spot. Okay. Blind spot usually present at 15 degree away in the horizontal meridian, 15 degree away from central fixation point at the horizontal meridian. Okay. Now this metallic arc can be rotated at any direction to describe a circle in the ear. It can be rotated at any direction. Now how the perimetric chart is fitted in the chart holder and how to take the reading. Now this picture showing the visual field defect. This one is the first visual field defect. When visual field defect gradually increase, the peripheral field of vision is gradually decrease here, and visual field defect is gradually increase here. This is known as the island of blindness within the sea of vision. This is known as scotoma, and it is seen in case of macular degeneration. So perimetry, it is to record the peripheral field of vision, to record any visual defect, to record any defect in the optical pathway, to record any defect in the visual cortex or in the macula. This is scotoma, central scotoma. This one is the central scotoma, which is known as island of blindness within the sea of vision. Now this picture showing that binocular field of vision. I have told you the peripheral retina, the temporal part, is responsible for nasal side of vision, and the nasal part responsible for temporal side of vision. And this is the visual field for right eye, and this is the visual field for left eye. This is the visual field for both eye. Okay, this is the visual field for both eye, and this one is the common binocular vision, which is usually circular central portion, common binocular field of vision. Now this is the perimetric chart. This field of vision for right eye, okay, and field of vision for left eye. Field of vision for right eye and field of vision for visual field for left eye. The maximum field of vision is on the temporal side, which is about 90 degree, and minimum field of vision at the nasal side and superior side. This one is for right eye. You have to record the visual field for right eye first, then left eye, and join the visual field or the first appearance of the test object in latitude, in the perimetric chart. Join that line for each and every meridian. You have to record You have to record the visual field for right eye. You have to record the visual field for right eye. Now you have to take another several readings for left eye, keeping the chain in the right chin rest to record the visual field for the left eye. And you have to join the each and every point in the perimetric chart at different meridian to record the visual field for the left eye, and this one is the visual field for the right eye. Okay, now this is the central fixation point, and subject should face towards the concavity of the metallic arc. Subject should face towards the concavity of the metallic arc, and keeping his or her eyes at the level of the central fixation point, and this is adjusted by adjustable chin rest, and this is adjusted by height of the leveling screw, by adjusting the height of the leveling screw. Now this oval blackish area, it is the blind spot, the corresponding area of optic disc where no rods and cones are present, where no photoreceptor are present. This one is the blind spot. Blind spot usually present at 15 degree away from central fixation point. Blind spot usually present at 15 degree away from central fixation point. It is oval area, and it is about 7.5 degree height, and it is about 5.5 degree width. This is the blind spot. Two blind spot for two optic discs for right and left side, and this one is also impression of blind spot, which is measured by scotometer. This blind spot is described by Lister perimeter, and this one is also blind spot which is marked by scotometer. Okay. Now this one is the perimetric chart, and there are total nine isopter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Total 9 isopter. The isopter has each point of one isopter has equal visual acuity, and this radiating line at 15 degree interval, this is known as meridian. This is right temporal 90 degree, this is left temporal 90 degree, and this is 0 degree, and this is 180 degree. Total 360 degree. This is perimetric chart. Now, how the recording of the perimetric chart for right eye and for left eye. Okay. The recording of the perimetric chart. So, this is another picture. Normal field of vision for right eye and normal field of vision for left eye. This is common field of vision, which is usually circular in nature. Common field of vision. This small red oval area, it is the blind spot by Lister perimeter, which is present 15 degree away at horizontal meridian on both sides for both optic disc where no photoreceptor are present, and this one is the blind spot which is demarcated by scotometer. The radiating line is known as meridian. You have to take reading for each and every meridian. There are 24 meridian, and there are total 9 isopters. You have to take reading for each meridian. You have to take 24 meridian. You have to take 24 reading. But usually we take 8 reading. Suppose we start from 90 degree, then we take another reading by moving the metallic arc at 45 degree. Next take another reading at 0 degree. Next take another reading on the left side 45 degree by rotating the metallic arc. Next left temporal view. Next 45 degree below, that is 135 degree, and then 180 degree, then 135 degree on right side. Total 8 reading for each meridian, and you have to demarcate the point of appearance of test object which is moved from periphery towards the center, exact latitude when the subject indicate when the object is just visible to his or her eye, that is demarcated by graduating the horizontal scale and hitting the perimetric chart towards the pin punch pointer, the corresponding point. Okay. Now we discuss about some common visual field defect. This is the visual field. Total visual field is lost here. Field of vision is lost, but sparing the central portion. Central visual field is normal. This is known as loss of total visual field with sparing the macular region. I have told that macular region has the largest representing area in the visual cortex or the occipital cortex. So small injury in the occipital cortex can spare the macular vision. So loss of total visual field, sparing the macular area is seen in case of occipital lobe injury. Okay. Now next one. This is the loss of visual field on the right side, and this is the loss of visual field also on the right side. For right eye, right side, and for the left eye, right side. So this is known as homonymous hemianopia. Homonymous means same-sided loss of visual field. Hemianopia means loss of half of visual field. So homonymous hemianopia, right-sided homonymous hemianopia, loss of right-sided visual field, loss of half of right-sided visual field on the both sides. So it is known as right-sided homonymous hemianopia. It is seen in case of optic tract injury. After optic chiasma. Okay. Now this one, third picture showing the loss of visual field on nasal aspect of both sides, okay. This is known as binasal hemianopia. This is loss of visual field on the left side, and this one is right side. So this is known as heteronymous hemianopia. That means it is loss of visual field on both nasal aspect. So it is binasal hemianopia, usually seen in case of pituitary tumor. That compress that compress the optic chiasma from below, that compress the optic chiasma from below and loss of visual field in case of pituitary macroadenoma, where the central portion of optic chiasma, central portion at the central portion of optic chiasma is compressed, which contain the cross nasal fiber of both eye. Cross nasal fiber of both eyes. So this is known as heteronymous hemianopia. That is binasal hemianopia. Now, this is right eye and this is left eye. This is right eye and this is left eye. Okay. Now this is optic nerve, right optic nerve. Damage to the right optic nerve in the point A responsible for right-sided visual field. Right-sided loss of visual field. That means blindness of the right side. Okay. Now, second, I have told the last picture, pituitary tumor compressing the optic chiasma. Pituitary tumor is compressing the optic chiasma. That means pituitary tumor is compressing the both cross blue color nasal fiber, which is responsible for temporal side of the vision, So here is bitemporal hemianopia. Bitemporal, it is heteronymous defect, bitemporal hemianopia. Now, if pituitary tumor compress in that side, in this temporal fiber, and compress in that side, so if the pituitary tumor compress the temporal fiber of right optic nerve and temporal fiber of left optic nerve, then there will be binasal heteronymous hemianopia. If the pituitary tumor compress the nasal fiber only, then there will be bitemporal hemianopia. If the pituitary tumor compress the temporal aspect, the temporal fiber only, both sides, that causes bitemporal hemianopia. Now this picture, after optic nerve, then optic chiasma, and then optic tract. In the point C, optic tract is severed, and here there is homonymous hemianopia of left side. If the right side optic nerve, optic tract is injured, that contain the temporal fiber of same side and nasal fiber of opposite eye, so there will be defect. The visual field defect. It is known as homonymous hemianopia of opposite side. In right-sided injury, there is left homonymous hemianopia of both sides. Okay. The optic tract injury, as the optic tract contain the temporal fiber of same side and crossed nasal fiber of opposite eye. Okay. Now, lateral geniculate body of thalamus, then optic radiation of the geniculocalcarein fiber, Here the point D, injury at the point D, that means injury at the optic radiation, which causes injury at the optic radiation, which causes injury of the optic radiation at right side, causes left homonymous hemianopia, with macula sparing. That means this central area is spared. The visual field defect is there. Homonymous hemianopia of left side occur in case of right optic radiation injury, there will be homonymous hemianopia of opposite side, that means left side, with macular sparing. I have told that uh, macular area has got large representation, in the visual cortex. So small injury in that visual cortex, small injury in that visual cortex, or the last portion of the optic radiation, causes homonymous hemianopia of opposite side, homonymous hemianopia, left homonymous hemianopia in case of right injury of both eye with macular sparing, as the macular area has got large representation in the visual field. Okay. Now, uh, thank you. Before we end our class, again the procedure. I want to tell the procedure of perimetry again. That means here, subject is asked to sit in front of the perimetric chart, in front of the perimeter. Subject is asked to sit in front of perimeter, and when you test for right eye, left eye is closed in such a way that it does not cause, left eye is closed in such a way that it does not cause any visual field defect, for right eye. So to test the right eye, subject is asked to keep his or her chin. To test the right eye, subject is asked to keep his or her chin in the left chin rest. For right eye, left chin rest. For left eye, right chin rest. And the height of the chin rest is adjusted according to the height of the leveling screw and central fixation point. Okay. The central fixation point, the fovea and center of the lens, and the eye which is tested should be in the same line, that means should be in the visual axis. Now, a test object, subject is asked to look or fix his gaze at the central fixation point. I have told what is visual field. Visual field means it is the when subject is fixed his gaze to an object, the area surrounding which is visible, it is known as visual field. So subject is asked to fix his gaze in the central fixation point, the area surrounding which is visible. When the subject is fixed his gaze, the central visual point is known as visual field. That is the peripheral visual field. So we have to record the peripheral visual field. Now a test object of 10 millimeter, that is moved along the metallic arc. Now beforehand you have to what to do? Beforehand you have to keep the perimetric chart here, to fix the perimetric chart in the perimetric chart holder. Now here is important, what is important? That is when you start testing for right temporal view, keep the right temporal portion of that perimetric chart towards the left temporal region. So to test the right temporal visual field, keep the perimetric chart right temporal portion at left temporal side. Okay. Now a white object 10 millimeter white object is moved from periphery to center and ask the subject when the object is just visible and now mark that degree. Now adjust that degree at the corresponding point. It may be adjusted automatically or you have to adjust. Suppose the object is just visible at 90 degree, at 70 degree. Now you have to move the sliding scale and fix at 70 degree. Now hit the perimetric chart, keeping the right temporal region to the left side. Hit the perimetric chart and the pin punch pointer will give an impression to the perimetric chart. Okay. Now the perimetric chart, the metallic arc is rotated 45 degree, which is corresponding to the corresponding point of the chart marker. It is rotated. Suppose it is rotated superiorly 45 degree. Take another reading. Again it is rotated 45 degree. Take another reading. Again it is rotated 45 degree towards the left side. Take another reading. Then left temporal region. Take another reading. Then 45 degree towards downwards. Take another reading. And at 180 degree. Vertically 180 degree, take another reading, then 100 again 45 degree, that means 135 degree towards the right side, take another reading, again temporal region, take another reading. So you have to join all the corresponding reading in the perimetric chart to get the visual field for the right eye. You have to repeat the visual field, repeat the demarcation of the visual field for the left eye, and you can use a red color pen or pencil for right eye, and to record the visual field for the left eye, a blue color pen or pencil. You have to use different color. You have to use different color. Now how to record the blind spot. Suppose subject is seated here and right eye is tested. So chin is placed in the left chin cup and subject is fixed his gaze towards the central fixation point, which is adjusted by adjustable screw of the chin rest and adjustable screw of the leveling screw, and white color 10 millimeter object. Subject is fixed his gaze towards the central point and white color 10 millimeter object is moved from periphery to center, and subject is asked to indicate when the object is just visible. So just visible, that means it demarcates the first point of the appearance of the visual field. Again gradually move the test object 10 degree per second, and again at the blind spot or the corresponding region of the optic disc or the optic nerve, when the object will form an image in the optic disc, again there will be a point of disappearance. Again move the object gradually towards center, again will be visual field, there will be point of appearance of that object. So this one is the first appearance of the object. You have to demarcate for visual field. When you gradually move, keep on moving at a rate of 10 degree per second, then there will be point of disappearance. Again you keep on moving the object, then there will be point of appearance. So the area in between point of disappearance and point of appearance, it is the area of blind spot. It is the area of blind spot. Blind spot is always located at horizontal meridian, at 15 degree away from the central fixation point. It is an oval spot. The vertically it is about 7.5 degree and horizontally the width is 5.5 degree. Okay. Now you have to compare the blind spot. And if there is any visual field defect, you can also demarcate any visual field defect by this perimetry. So perimeter, it is useful to detect the visual field. The peripheral visual field is first roughly estimated by bedside confrontation test, and peripheral visual field is accurately estimated or demarcated, which is a hollow area, hollow circle, by moving the metallic arc at different meridian. By moving the metallic arc at different meridian, which is a hollow circle, peripheral visual field is accurately demarcated or delineed by Lister perimeter. So importance of or the indication of Lister perimeter: number one, to demarcate the peripheral visual field, which is commonly 100 degree on the temporal side, 60 degree on the nasal side, 60 degree on superior aspect, and 75 degree on the inferior aspect. This is the common visual field, and you have to detect any visual field defect such as scotoma, any blind spot, and perimetry is also important for children to detect any visual field defect. Perimetry also important for giving driving license to detect the visual field. Also important for detection of visual field for one-eyed patient, one-eyed subject. So perimetry is very important and very crucial, and also important for your examination, and you have to go through your books, and if there are any question you can ask. I will try my best to give the answer. Okay. Thank you for your attention for today's class. Thank you.